Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about the future of NGS and why I am so optimistic about it. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So as some of you guys may know, Sonic Frontiers has just released a couple days ago, maybe a week ago by the time this video comes out, but that game has been getting some really good reviews, not from official reviewers, but from the player base themselves, and I think that is what matters. So there has always been this rumor that a lot of the NGS team was actually poached away by the Sonic team in order to create Sonic Frontiers, and I personally believe in this rumor because if you look at Sonic Frontiers, a lot of the assets that they use are basically ripped off NGS. So a very obvious one is the environment. You literally have Alio, you have Ritem, you have Kavaris, you have Stia. You've got the 4 different zones which are created in NGS, and they basically ripped it, threw it into Sonic Frontiers, added Sonic, some rings, and a bunch of puzzles, and some really cool ideas, which I am very hopeful that they might add into NGS, because they're literally using the same graphics engine, the same everything basically, so it shouldn't be too difficult to port everything that was successful in Sonic Frontiers into NGS. And by playing a little bit of Sonic Frontiers, I kind of understand the open field races now in NGS. I understand why they're putting so much effort into it, because for any of my friends that did play Sonic Frontiers, I feel like that part was one of the main highlights for me personally. Was first of all the boss fights. The boss fights were freaking amazing, but after that were of course the puzzles, as well as just going really fast and zooming through everywhere, collecting all the coins and stuff like that. I think they were called the cyber zones or something. Basically, they're like little instances where you just go in and you just zoom across and try to get to the finish line, as well as collect all the different coins in order to get that S rank. Now keep in mind guys, I am not a huge Sonic nerd or Sonic fan, so if I do get a lot of the terminologies wrong, please forgive me, because you know, I just never really played a lot of Sonic back in the day. But something I really liked about Sonic Frontiers were the boss fights. I feel like the boss fights were very cool, where they were simple mechanics, you know, there weren't very difficult mechanics to learn, but it just felt good to do the mechanics. It felt good to fight against all of these bosses, even though combat isn't the strongest point in Sonic Frontiers in my personal opinion. I didn't really vibe with the combat style that much, mainly because, well, you know, I'm coming from NGS where the combat is like spectacular. So when I went to Sonic Frontiers, it was okay, but it wasn't mind-blowing, but it was still really fun. But the main thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention is of course the actual boss fights and the mechanics. I felt like the mechanics part, they nailed down really well. It felt really good, the music was awesome, and all of the boss fights were interesting and had their own unique strategies that you needed to do in order to defeat said boss. And I feel like the development team is going to take what was successful in Sonic Frontiers and port a lot of those things over into NGS. So the boss fight mechanics, I think if we're lucky, maybe in the Stia region, we might start getting some urgent quests which actually have some actual mechanics other than, oh, destroy the yellow spots, DPS, kill the boss, just DPS harder, forehead. I think we're gonna actually get some more solid mechanics where it's like, oh, this is a specific phase, we actually need to do something here, or else we're gonna take a ton of damage, or we're gonna wipe, or you know, the boss is gonna get stronger or heal or something along those lines. I don't think it's gonna be super difficult because, you know, NGS is catered towards a more casual audience, but I do think that they are going to be a little bit more challenging, and they're going to add a little bit more mechanics as well as special cutscenes in the different boss fights if you pull off specific mechanics. Just like in Sonic Frontiers, when you pull off specific combos and stuff like that, you get a nice little cutscene. I think that is going to be more and more prevalent in NGS in the near future. Another thing I really liked about Sonic Frontiers was actually the formula that they had for each region. I think the NGS team is going to adapt that formula into the future planet or whatever expansion we're getting in NGS, that when we go to a new planet, we're gonna have to collect 7 special resources of some sort in order to activate the big bad boss, and then we go fight the big bad boss or something along those lines. Just like in Sonic Frontiers, where you gotta collect all the different crystals in order to get superpowers, and then once you get superpowered, you gotta beat up the big bad boss, or there's like epic cutscenes, cool fights, and all of that jazz. And then after that, you get to the new zone, and then the formula rinses and repeats, and you gotta do the same thing all over again. But what I really liked about Sonic Frontiers was each zone felt very unique. Even though it was basically Alio, Retem, Kavaris, and Stia, it felt very unique in the sense of the mobs that they added in, the puzzles they added in, and each region just felt very unique, and you had a very clear goal. It was like, oh, save your friends, oh, collect these crystals, oh, get super strong, blah, blah, blah. It was very clear-cut, very simple, and I feel like NGS could benefit from that very simple storyline with a lot more witty dialogue. That was actually one of my favorite parts in Sonic Frontiers, was just all the really dumb dialogue. Like, you clearly know that the developers and the story writers were just having fun because of all the really troll dialogue, as well as the facial expressions and the cutscenes and the awkwardness at sometimes. It was just fun and goofy. And I feel like NGS could definitely benefit from that in just, you know, they don't need to take themselves so seriously. They can just be a little bit more troll, just have a little bit more fun in the story writing, in the character development, in the cutscenes, etc. Because I feel like that was what made PSO2 PSO2. It was just, you know, the game that doesn't take itself seriously and goes really off the rails on the story and does really outlandish and wacky things. And this is what NGS is kind of lacking at the moment. The current formula of NGS is very generic. It's just kind of like your average MMO. It's like, oh, you're the protagonist, there's bad guys, you gotta defeat the bad guys and save the world, stuff like that. Very, very generic. We need that spice of just troll and just random and just WTF type of elements in the game right now. I feel like we will be getting that later down the line. But first of all, of course, I want them to port everything that was successful in Sonic Frontiers into NGS. Because if we are to believe in the rumors where, you know, actually part of the NGS dev team created Sonic Frontiers, now that the NGS dev team is finally complete, they can finally go full force, all out, and create some awesome content for NGS, and I can't wait to see what happens. Oh, another thing I really liked about Sonic Frontiers was actually the fishing. I don't know what about the fishing felt really good, but I just really enjoyed it. Maybe it was the lo-fi music, it was the, I don't know what the guy's name is, but the really derpy guy that's like, hey man, I like fishing. Like, I really love that guy. He's just super derpy, super chill, and just fishing with him with some lo-fi music playing in the background, it's just a vibe. It's a whole different chill vibe, which I really, really liked. I'm hoping that they do bring something similar to that into NGS and make it worthwhile, you know? If they don't make it worthwhile, people aren't gonna do it, but I really want them to implement something like the fishing mechanic into NGS. So after like 2 to 3 hours of grinding and combat zones or whatever, you can just chill out with your friends, go into a fishing zone and just chill there, chat with people in voice chat or just in text chat in game actually, and just fish and just chill, relax, have a good time. I think fishing would be a welcome addition to NGS, but I really want them to capture the same vibe that Sonic Frontiers had with the fishing. It was just super chill, super nice. The animations were really, really crisp, and the fish just looked really troll. Like, compared the fish sizes with Sonic, it was really, really funny when you caught like a sunfish, and the sunfish is like triple the size of Sonic. It's actually pretty funny. But yeah, the TLDR is Sonic Frontiers was really, really fun, and so I'm hoping that they implement everything that was successful in Sonic Frontiers into NGS, since I believe the NGS dev team was heavily involved in the creation of Sonic Frontiers, so they have the know-how, and the graphics engine was exactly the same, so it's just copy pasta and it would work. Technically, right, I think. So yeah, I'm just looking forward towards the future of NGS, and I think it's gonna be really, really good. Maybe not in the Stia region immediately, but definitely after the Stia region, I have high expectations, and I'm waiting to see some really awesome stuff. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the